everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun project video we're going to be back over on the Longer Ray5 20W diode laser engraver. I've already got the file loaded up onto the Lightburn software, which is that white screen over on the laptop, if you can see it back there in the corner, that works with the Longer Ray5 20W laser that is in the laser enclosure here. And we're going to be making another project for Shark Week. Shark Week is next week, my friends. And as I said in this past Monday's video, Shark Week falls on my birthday here in 2025. So it's something really cool to look forward to. Shark Week starts on Sunday, July 20th, and then it goes through to the following Sunday. And then my birthday falls right in the middle of it. So it's kind of an early birthday treat to enjoy Shark Week throughout the week of my birthday, if that makes any sense. In this past Monday's video, we cut out this nice little Steve Good design completely over on the scroll saw and brought it to life over here on the platform. But I also wanted to make some shark art over on the laser engraver. And if you guys remember, it was around a year and a half ago, we made this layered tropical surfboard design here out of 1/4 inch material, and it's going to be in the same style of this here, but we're not going to paint it in today's video. We're going to stain it with different colored stains to give it a rustic appearance, but it's going to be in the same style as this here. Keep in mind, the file that I'm going to be using and making in today's video and bringing to life in today's video comes from the Etsy website, and I downloaded a whole pack and bought a whole pack of tropical layered sea life art. So if you guys like the shark one, I'd be happy to make more of the aquatic animals. As a matter of fact, I made the turtle design for my mom's birthday back in January, and I documented it on my social media feeds. So I'm really excited to get this project started in anticipation for Shark Week, which is fast approaching. We're going to be using more of the same 1/4 inch material that I like to use over on the laser. Keep in mind, the files were probably meant for the thinner 3mm craft basswood that you can pick up for laser engravers. This material that I like to use here is just readily available in my area, and the Longer Ray5 20W diode laser cuts through it like butter. So I'm really happy to bring this project to life for Shark Week 2025. We've made one project over on the scroll saw, and today we're going to be making one over on the laser. So let's move the camera and get started. Got my safety goggles on, and we'll get the air filtration unit on, and we'll get started with the project. And we are going to begin by sanding our 1/4 inch material we are going to use with 180 grit Cling Spore Woodworking Shop sandpaper in the vibrating palm sander. And then before we step over to the laser, I am showing you guys a preview of what we are going to be making. This is all of the layers for the shark we are going to be making. And you can see it has 5 layers, and due to the size of the file, we're going to go in 2 passes. That is why we are using 2 pieces of material. We'll do 3 layers in the first pass and the final 2 layers in the second pass. And over here at the Longer Ray5 20W diode laser engraver, we'll put 1 piece of material on the honeycomb board and hold it in place with a few magnets and frame out our project and put the GoPro in the enclosure. And I'll zip it up and hit start over on the laptop. And the laser will begin its job of laser cutting the shark out completely. Keep in mind, the project is entirely laser cutting and no laser engraving. And you guys know that I have this safety window here to peer into the laser while it is running to keep an eye on things, this orange translucent material, but it's not very good to film with. That is why I like to have the GoPro on the enclosure like you see here to give you guys the best vantage point as possible. And of course, anytime I'm over near the laser, I of course have on my safety UV goggles to protect my eyes. And obviously the footage is sped up here, but for reference, for the settings I'm using the Lightburn software. This is a 20W diode laser, the Longer Ray5, and the settings are speed 300, power 89%, 2 passes with air assist on, for those curious. And you can see that the laser is cutting out the pieces cleanly and crisply. And you can see how the enclosure does a great job of capturing all of those fumes and extracting them out of the workshop. And anytime the laser gets done, I like to leave it setting for around 4 or 5 minutes to make sure all of those fumes are properly extracted before unzipping
the enclosure and removing the pieces. But I will remove our first 3 layers here, and I'll add another piece of the 1/4 inch material we sanded, and it will be a rinse and repeat of what we have already done. You can see me framing out the project here. And now we are beginning again. Beginning here with the traditional view that I have, again through that orange translucent material while the laser is running. But then we will go back on the inside of the enclosure with the use of the GoPro camera. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to my channel and also follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. I'd really appreciate the support. And again, obviously the footage is sped up, but it took the laser around 40 to 45 minutes to laser cut all 5 layers of the shark. And keep in mind we had to go in 2 individual passes. That time may vary for you guys depending on the size and power and wattage of the laser that you might have out in your garage or workshop. And the file that we are using did come in a layered tropical file pack from the Etsy website. But once it comes back around, we'll leave it sitting again for around 4 or 5 minutes to make sure all of those fumes are properly extracted. And then I will come back and unzip the laser enclosure and remove the camera and turn it off. And we'll remove our final 2 layers here. And all of the laser work will be done on this tropical shark project for Shark Week. And now over here on the workbench we have our first visual of what the finished project will look like. And I'll quickly layer them together so you guys can see what the project will ultimately look like when it is done. But now I'm going to add some color with 2 different splashes of Minwax wood stain, a lighter shade and a darker shade. Of course, this is just a very quick way to finish the project for video purposes. You could of course go in and paint all of the individual layers with spray paints or acrylic craft paints to give it a very nice and tropical vibe. But after everything was dry, it was time to assemble everything with medium grade CA glue and activator. And I'm being very careful to line the layers up here. And after the CA glue had completely dried and cured for around 5 minutes, after I sprayed it with the activator, it was time for a finish. And for finishing, I gave the project several coats of Rust-Oleum clear gloss. And once the Rust-Oleum clear gloss had dried, the project was complete, just in time for Shark Week 2025.
And here we have the completed layered shark design, laser cut completely over on the Longer Ray5 20W diode laser engraver, finished with a rustic style, and it finished up amazing. Really cool. For those curious, once again I downloaded a pack of tropical layered seafaring art off of the Etsy website. I picked it up and purchased it. I think it was around $5 or so. That's US currency. I can't remember. I picked it up back in January, and this is one of the layered designs featured in it. But all of them have aquatic animals in them with a similar style, with the multiple layers making up a beautiful layered scene once everything is cut out completely. It took my Longer Ray5 20W diode laser around 45 minutes to laser cut everything. You guys seen in the time-lapse portions where I had the GoPro on the inside of the enclosure to give you guys the best vantage point as possible, that it precisely and cleanly cut through the 1/4 inch material that we loaded into the laser bed that I pick up here locally. Again, these files were probably meant for the thinner 3mm 1/8 inch craft plywood that's called basswood, that's really good with laser engraving, and I have used that in the past, and I think I've got some on hand out here in the workshop. I'd have to look. But I love making these projects and bringing them to life with the 1/4 inch material here. You can see that it has 5 layers here. As you guys seen, the laser cut them out over on the laser bed and everything. But another reason why I like the 1/4" material is because of the multiple layers here. Projects like this can easily freestand on a shelf, desk, or countertop without the need of a base. So that is really cool and a different option if you want to cut a project like this out of thicker materials. And we stained everything with 2 tones of Minwax wood stain to give it a nice rustic appearance. And you can see everything here, the tropical coral down here, the sea life, and it looks like a sunken pirate ship is back there. So you can imagine the majestic sharks swimming in and out of everything like a classic pirate shipwreck, like a nice galleon, a huge ship with the rigging and all. So this is just a really cool piece here. And I also shrank the design down. The project was meant to be made a lot bigger. That's one great versatility about laser engraving and laser cutters out in garages or workshop, is that you can enlarge or shrink projects down. If you made the project a lot bigger and just printed out the files, you know, on pieces of paper, you could potentially cut everything out that I did here today over on the laser over on a scroll saw if you are comfortable cutting out the details and all. So options and versatility. And one thing I thought about while I was laser cutting this and got to looking at the pieces when they were laid out on the workbench before I started staining them and gluing them up, was that if you just wanted to make a shark themed shadow box, maybe to put some shark's teeth or seashells down in and then maybe fill it with resin, you could of course just cut out this top profile layer of the shark and the backer board here and maybe cut out 4 or 5 of the top layers, you know, to build it up like a shark themed shadow box. And then you have a lot of options for stuff to fill it with. Like I just said, some seashells, some shark's teeth, from sand from your favorite beach. You know, you could cut out a word in there, like if I love Myrtle Beach. So let's just say if I filled it with sand, I could cut out the words Myrtle Beach and put it on there to make a nice little shadow box to sit on a shelf, desk, or countertop, or put a hook and hang it from the wall. Of course, with laser engraving, those are tools due to the nature of them, laser cutting through stuff and the smoke and the fumes and everything. They're tools that you never want to walk away from. Of course, you can quickly step away to use the restroom, get a nice fresh drink, a sip of water, or something like that. And of course, anytime I stepped over to the laser, I had on my safety UV goggles, even though my laser enclosure for the laser does have the safety protective shield that you can look through safely at the laser. I just like to protect my eyes as much as possible when laser engraving with the safety UV goggles as well. And of course, the air filtration unit was running the whole time the laser was going as well. But of course, with finishing options here, I went with the standard rustic finishing way that I like to do. As a matter of fact, it is the same style that we finished this past Monday's scroll saw project video with. That's a Steve Good scroll saw pattern that we made. I finished this project that we made on the laser in the same style with the rustic finishing way with a 2-toned Minwax wood stain finish, and I still think it came out great. But of course, different finishing options. You could go in with acrylic craft paints and really paint a project like this up and make it look as tropical as you want to, like we did with the layered surfboard art we made around a year and a half, 2 years ago over on the same laser engraver, made from the same 1/4" material. So you can see kind of here, compare and contrast how it looks stained and how it looks painted. So options and versatility with each and every design you come across. And as I said, you could use each individual layer potentially as its own standalone project. You could of course do the shark frame itself and use that as just a shark-centric photo frame, like a group photo at the beach, and have it as a photo frame. So I always try to think outside of the box when it comes to each and every project you come across. As I said at the beginning, this was part of a multiple part pattern pack that I downloaded from the Etsy website. I had to think there a second. And here is the pattern that I done back in January for my mom's birthday. It is several layers of the same 1/4" material, and it is a layered sea turtle. My mom loves turtles. You know, her Instagram handle is Turtle Dove Ceramics for her ceramic art, and I did go with the tropical colors to make this beautiful piece here. But this was also in the same pattern pack that features the shark. And if you guys like me bringing this shark project to life over on video today over here on the platform, and you guys would like to see more tropical art made on the laser, I can go and use more of those files if you want to see me bring those designs to life in future videos, now that we are in these summer months and you know it's just appropriate to make some tropical, seaside, and beach faring art. But this project here was made for Shark Week 2025, which is this coming week, my friends. It begins Sunday, July 20th and follows on the Discovery Channel throughout that week. I always look forward to that week of television. You can see that I've got on on my classic Jaws movie poster shirt. You guys know I'm a huge fan of that movie. But I just made this in anticipation of Shark Week 2025, which once again, this year in 2025 falls on the week of my birthday. So really, really cool. I had a lot of fun making this project and bringing it to life for you guys, and hopefully in some way, shape, or form you guys picked up a tip, trick, or tidbit along the way with making a beautiful piece of tropical layered shark theme art over on your lasers. I know lasers are now becoming more and more affordable for weekend and hobby woodworkers out in their garage or workshops, and I believe they are a very versatile tool to have to make beautiful art just like this. One more look at it as we close the video. That's going to be about all for this one. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you'll click that subscribe button and also follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. As always, links to contact me as well as all my social media feeds will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one, and remember guys, if I can make it or do it, so can you guys. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care. Happy Shark Week 2025, and I'll see you guys real soon.